Hi everybody, welcome to Big Time Nerd. My name is Austin and I'm here with Zach. And today we're going to be talking about Star Wars. Specifically, Andor Season One is just finalized. The last episode came out just a few days ago as of recording this. And we're here to talk about it. Talk about what we loved, what we maybe didn't like as much, and where we hope it goes from here. Thanks for joining today, Zach.
Yeah, for sure. I loved Andor. Thought it was great, so I'm always down to talk about it. So,
yeah, it was definitely a different feel than the other Star Wars shows and movies.
Yeah, it definitely it felt more. I don't know. It felt less. How to put it? I guess the way that I described it to a couple people was it was like the Star Wars 1313 that we never got, kind of. If you're familiar with that game that never came out, it's like they took that idea of kind of the underbelly. Not. So, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's essentially still focusing on a lot of the gritty, dark part of the Empire that you often don't see as much. So
yeah, maybe definitely the more of the everyday kind of life, the people like actually having to live under that crazy umbrella that is the Empire.
Yeah, and getting to see kind of I love that we get to see like just the inner workings of just like how all these moving pieces kind of worked together or work against each other in all these random ways. I thought that was awesome. So
yeah, I mean, definitely I will get more into it in a minute, but like kind of like even showing the ISB. Like I think when we think of the Empire, we think of just like the Empire, unless you're really into the Legends, I guess, and all the other stuff. Like you don't really think about the different factions that work within it, like the ISB, the Imperial Navy, like how it all is one machine, all these multiple cogs all working together, sometimes against each other. And then it's just there is so much lore that could be in Star Wars that hasn't been, and now they're starting to add in more.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that they're finally like expanding on a lot of this, because I mean there was a lot of this kind of richness back, like you were saying, with Legends and stuff like that, but like they got rid of all that whenever Disney took over, and then it's nice to see it kind of being expanded on again, having this to kind of go back to.
Yeah, we got a bit of that too with Mandalorian. I mean, honestly, The Mandalorian is one of the best shows that's been out there in a long time for Disney or otherwise.
Oh, absolutely.
But I just feel like it actually felt like a spaghetti western, I guess, best way to say it, classic spaghetti western.
Yeah.
But now like this has taken the whole world of Star Wars into a whole new genre. It's a total genre shift, And I don't know, Zach, how much you know about the director or the creator of the show, Tony Gilroy, or what he's done before. Have we talked a little bit about him before, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about him doing like the Bourne movies and stuff like that, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy. You kind of can feel that kind of more gritty kind of approach. He's done some other movies too, kind of like spy thrillers and stuff. Honestly, and let's face it, Andor is a spy thriller, like full on, full stop. And so it works. And I feel like this is definitely like the Star Wars version of Jason Bourne.
For sure.
Except he's not part of Star Wars Treadstone or something. It's I guess different in that way.
Yeah. It's and that's one thing that I've always that's partially why I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, is because it really can be almost any genre. I mean, at its core, it's a space opera, but you can take that in so many different directions and have all these chapters that are in these different styles. And we've seen that over the years, whether it's with the old, like, was it the 2003 Clone Wars miniseries, almost done in like an anime style and stuff like that. And, with this one being a spy thriller, you have I mean, just all the various ways that it can be adapted, I think is awesome. So
Yeah, I just looked up Star Wars Clone Wars 2003. Uh, yeah, oh man, those were the days it released on Cartoon Network. I forgot about that.
yeah, those were great. So
Yeah, there is so many subgenres, and it's fascinating too because this is the first time where I think the dystopian nature of Star Wars really shows its face. Now, I mean, there is Rogue One, but I kind
yeah,
of almost want to couple that together. Actually, I think Tony Gilroy did Rogue One too.
yeah,
Um,
he did.
yeah, so like I feel like, but like these are the first really or like plot arches in the whole series that really feel dystopian. Like truly, like this is gritty dystopian. Like this is real.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of saw that maybe a little bit in that first episode of the Book of Boba Fett when we saw the Mandalorian. I forgot which episode in the series it was, but where he's kind of in that city hunting down that one.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I thought that was like we got a taste of it there, but this time we get to kind of immerse ourselves into it, and I thought that was great.
kind of cyberpunk esque almost. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Whether I mean, just that first
yeah, it's
scene,
totally different.
So
Totally. Yeah, just totally new feel. But I'm excited. There's gonna be one more season, right? One more season
mhm.
of 12 episodes. So I kind of am
Yep.
fascinated to see where it takes it, and I don't want to spoil it too much in the show. Or maybe we should just put a spoiler alert. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
yeah, definitely.
yeah
But yeah, I mean, they've already. It's not as much of a spoiler alert, but I mean, they've talked about how season one is him, joining the rebellion, and season two is all the things he does for the rebellion up until Rogue One, which I think was really
yeah.
cool.
I mean, there's the depth of Cassian too. Like the guy, I mean, he's been through it. Let's face it. Like the guy is,
Yeah.
he's been through way more than anyone should have to go through.
Oh, for
It,
sure.
I mean, it's like growing up on a planet. Yeah, you can't really tell. I don't know if they specifically say it, but like either his parents died or he was abandoned, or he was
Hmm.
abandoned through their death. But either way, like this kid, he's been on his own. He's grown up with his like Lord of the Flies family, children of the wilderness, living out there on this planet, and he's just thrown right into the middle of it, like really right into the middle of the conflict that is the Empire, and also like it's interesting how they kind of carry over. I don't know if you picked up on this, and maybe I picked up on it wrong, but it almost seems like they're trying to show that there were seedlings of the Empire even back in the Republic. Like it wasn't just like this fresh new thing that came. Like I think sometimes we split up into these different periods, and that kind of does disjustice to the whole like saga. And that like no, there was the seedlings, like the saplings of the Empire growing way before Palpatine became officially the Emperor.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the whole thing of I mean basically the entire prequel trilogy. You see that kind of building, whether that's with the Phantom Menace talking about how just the absolute just clown show that was the Senate, and looking at all
Yeah.
the problems there and moving through that and. Um, I thought that this does a good job at showing how those things culminate into sort of um, the empire that we know from the original trilogy. So
Oh yeah. I mean, like I love that scene. I can't remember which episode it is in Andor when Mon Mothma is sitting there in the Senate, and then like they're just clearing out. Like you could tell it's a total sham. Like this is
yeah,
nobody cares. Like we're not here to help. Like nobody wants to step up. Like even those that really do want to step up and make a difference, they're so afraid of the consequences that could come from that. They just rather just step back and let it happen. And like
yeah,
just the apathy is just crazy.
oh yeah, and I mean
Like,
that's the other way. Like I feel like it's kind of the underrated. It's not as touched upon, but like in A New Hope, they talk about when Tarkin walks into the room with all the guys, he literally
Oh
just tells you,
yeah.
he's like, look, the Imperial Senate's just been disbanded. And you're like, oh, what does that mean? And this is kind of showing how that led to that. And I thought that was awesome.
And
So,
that's such a footnote, like in A New Hope. Like that's just, and that tells you too the genius of George Lucas with his world building. I'm not going to say
oh,
he's a
yeah.
genius writer, but he is a really
Yeah.
amazing world builder.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, like it's kind of crazy too if you think about just like the order of it. Honestly, it's kind of a trip thinking about going from four through like being like the first three films or later. That's a whole nother meta kind of analysis,
Oh,
Metacritic
yeah.
of that. But yeah, he was honestly, he made the film that defined what the genre is today. So, but anyway,
Oh, absolutely.
but yeah, well, let's see what else. We were going to talk about a poll about the favorite Star Wars films. I think you were telling me about this the other day about
Yeah,
like
I was.
viewership ranking.
Yeah, it was a YouTuber. I'm sure you've seen all these like YouTube polls if you've been on YouTube a lot recently.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
just you get
spammed
these
every day.
random polls from like people you've never heard of before, but the algorithm does a fairly good job at sending me polls on things I'm fairly interested in. So that's kudos / creepiness to Google.
Oh, dude,
Um,
I've been searching a lot about the Steam Deck. I think we should talk more about the Steam Deck and gaming
oh,
later on
definitely.
this podcast. But like, now every video is about the Steam Deck. Honestly, Steam Deck and Star Wars, and like all the Star Wars
Oh
videos
gosh,
are all like
yeah.
1.5 minutes long. It's the weirdest thing. I love it. But anyway, sorry, you're saying
Oh gosh.
polls.
Yeah, no, I was just one of these polls popped up and somebody was asking their viewers and just I'm guessing people like me as well that randomly find these polls, but they were asking um like ranking like what would you say is the best Star Wars show of this year? And of course, out of those four options, they had Andor, they had Kenobi, they had Book of Boba Fett, and they had Tales of the Jedi. And first was Kenobi, which I mean,
Really?
understandable. I mean,
Maybe.
it's
I guess
it's
nostalgia factor, right?
yeah, that was the big thing. It was that, and then second was Andor by almost like 15 to 16 percentage points, and then third was Tales of the Jedi, and very last was Book of Boba Fett. Rightfully so, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah. You know what
but
though?
I mean,
I feel like that show had so much promise, and I don't know if they're doing a season two, but if they do, I think now with the experience they have behind the other films, they can actually make something legit out of it. I want to love it so much. I want to love it, Zach.
it's
I do.
I wanted to, and like I could find the good in it. I was like, yeah, this there's good, but I don't like Robert Rodriguez's direction and all of it. Like I understand he seems like a really great guy, but he just I don't know. All the episodes that he was put over were some of the worst ones of that entire series. So
I gotta admit though, like I don't know if this was. It probably was because he was directing it, but Danny Trejo making a cameo,
oh
that was the
gosh,
best
yeah,
moment the whole show.
oh
with the
absolutely,
with the Ragnar or no, not Ragnar. Oh my gosh,
the Rancor.
Rancor. Okay, just yeah. Oh my goodness, my Star Wars lore is almost like probably like 75% where it needs to be compared to you, Zach. Like I'm still, I don't know. Maybe that's why I love Andor so much because it's just so different than the rest. But yeah,
Oh
you're
yeah,
probably
it
right. Boba Fett goes
it
in fourth
felt
place.
different. Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen Tales of the Jedi.
Not
Um,
yet.
it's really good. It's excellent. I highly recommend it. Next time, whenever you get a chance to watch it, we'll have to talk about that. But
Oh yeah, that should be a
um,
later episode.
yeah, it's super good. But I mean that I love almost everything that Dave Filoni does, so that was not a surprise for me. So
Yeah, and you were saying so Andor was number two behind Kenobi, and you know what?
yeah,
Kenobi was it was entertaining, but I don't think the writing in Kenobi holds a candle
oh, not
to
even close.
like not even a minutia of a candle compared to to Andor. I just feel like the writing is just honestly the writing is what makes that show. And I think one of the things you said people are complaining about was if they found anything to complain about was it was too slow.
Yeah, that's what, like, literally all the comments. I just looked through the comments to figure out like why people were voting, and all the comments are like, "I can't believe that Andor's not number one," and like all the people replying to those comments were like, "Well, I tried it for like one episode, and I was like, this is really slow," and it's just that was literally almost every single comment on that thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, you guys don't have the attention span to sit through a really good written, well written show, like. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
wonder if it's
honestly,
just,
part
yeah,
of it
honestly,
is. Oh, go ahead.
no, part of it's what? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just saying part of it just comes down to um, Disney Plus isn't advertising it. Like, I don't know if you've been on there, but literally the last day that it was advertised, like on the front page, was when the very last episode of the season came out, and now you have to scroll all the way to, I think it's like the ninth page, um, on the front to actually see it, and it's
Dang.
nowhere else. Like, you go on Disney, like you go in the Star Wars section on there, and you
Yeah,
scroll
it's
down, and you have to literally scroll down to find it. So
see, that's such a bummer. That's
yeah,
weird because on my Google TV it actually shows up in the front, but like because Google
that's good.
or Disney will push ads to there, but that's just sad. Maybe it's because I've been
Yeah,
watching a lot of Andor, so it'll show it to me.
yeah, it's
But
it's kind of wild. So
which is a bummer because like honestly, like it deserves way more attention. I think it's finally getting it. Honestly, I feel like it's a sleeper hit. Like just
yeah.
no one. It's been delayed too. I think it was delayed like a year or so
Mm,
because of COVID.
that
Um,
wouldn't surprise me. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, no, that wouldn't surprise me.
but yeah, like yeah, if you yeah, and it's interesting too because this one I feel like is the first Star Wars in a long time that was actually filmed on location. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
and I think even since the original trilogy, and maybe Gilroy actually went on location for some places for Rogue One. I'd have to look that up, but I feel like the show does even more. It feels practical. It feels grounded. Like
yeah,
it's people calling it slow. I think it doesn't have quite the action. I mean, honestly, later on in the series, in the season, you do get some action, um, but like it's a slow build up. But the payoff is so worth it. It
oh
just it
definitely.
it feels visceral. Like when they're over there on like that one planet on Aldani,
Mm,
like you feel like you're there. And honestly, they must have shot that in the Scottish Highlands because like
oh yeah,
I was getting real like Scottish or even like James Bond like Skyfall kind of feels like up there at
yeah,
the fog but it's just these are real landscape. Like that's like you could tell it was cold, it was humid, it was like this was a kind of a bitter sweet place to be, like it's just
yeah,
you could get a sense of scale as well. And that after they'd left and that Star Destroyer comes overhead, I was just like,
yeah,
wow, like you can feel, like you could tell this whole scale of that. So,
yeah. I thought that was great. I think honestly, the Aldani heist was the highlight of the whole show for me. I thought that was fantastic. So. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit slower, but at the same time, like I felt myself going, this is pretty good. Like, I think the best comment that I saw was somebody was like, it's kind of like Breaking Bad, in that like at the end of an episode of Breaking Bad, you'll be like, wow, not a lot happened in that episode, but a lot happened, and so
oh
it's
yeah.
it's kind of like you get a lot more character development, you get a lot less physical action, but it's still great, and I think that's I'd like to see more of that.
So, honestly, season one was incredible, but like what I kind of know what I'd like to see for season two. And like we already talked a little bit about what's coming, 'cause it's going to be more of like what Andor does for the rebellion, now that he's actually in it. But what would you like to see happen in season two?
For me, I know I'd like to see more of the oh, what's it called, just more aliens. For me,
Really?
like, yeah, no, I because for me, like, I mean, Star Wars is it's a massive galaxy, and just from like a lore perspective, there are so many. It's not just humans that are. I mean, obviously, I could get into the weeds and talk about how the Empire towards is very kind of anti-alien,
Yeah, very xenophobic.
Yeah, and so like that's part of it, but also, I mean, the part of Star Wars is the alien nature of it. I mean, I think a lot of the part that really caught a lot of people's attention was just that the cantina scene, you know, in the original. They walk in and there's all these just bizarre aliens and stuff, and like you see like these aliens are helping with the rebellion. You see Admiral Akbar,
Yeah.
and all that, and that's a huge part of it. And so I just like to see a little bit more of that. I think would be really awesome. And obviously, you're going to get some non-human characters with K2SO coming in the second season. But yeah, I think I'd like to see more of that.
See, it's funny because I actually really like that there's almost a whole human cast for now. But I like it because it feels grounded. Like, and maybe that's just, and honestly, as you know, there's, I don't know if it's still floating out in the interwebs, but like we did that whole video of Star Trek versus Star Wars before. And while there are a lot of aliens in Star Trek, also there's the whole like utopian versus dystopia kind of situation. But anyway, like, I don't know, it just feels more grounded, and I've really liked that about Andor. But I don't know, maybe Gilroy can do it right. Maybe he can find the right balance. But
yeah, and I think the reason why there aren't as many is because it's kind of hard to write alien characters and make them believable. Because with human characters, I mean, we can obviously look at them and understand what their emotions are, and understand mannerisms and stuff like that. Whereas with an alien, like, how do you show that? Somebody who has completely different ideas and culture and like senses and stuff like that. How do you show that?
Yeah, how do you make them relatable? Like, how do you humanize something that's innately alien?
Yeah, but I mean, there's a good opportunity to, while there are like difficulties in it, there's also really good opportunities to kind of teach things through that. Like, just going back to the example of Admiral Akbar, the whole reason why Lucas wanted him to be in there, like a lot of people are like, oh, he's too ugly to be, on screen. Yeah, he's literally a fish. And so, but he's like, I want to show that good guys aren't always the best looking, and I thought that was awesome. So
yeah. All right, well, we gotta close up here, but thanks for joining. I think next time we should really dive into talking about what Bob Iger coming back to Disney is gonna mean. Just for Star Wars, because like he was critical in bringing in Star Wars under the Disney umbrella. So now he's back. Oh man, there's a whole lot we could talk about. That could be a whole episode. Maybe that should be a whole episode. About him. But anyway, thanks for nerding out and geeking out with me today, Zach. This has been a lot of fun, and we'll have to make this a regular thing.
Yeah, honestly, it was a lot of fun. Anytime.